Hi, welcome to Sabbath School Daily, where we have been studying from this lesson right here, God's mission, my mission. Today, we're starting a brand new week, week number 10, which has the title, Mission to the Unreached, Part 1, and today's lesson is Sabbaths, which doesn't have a title, but we do have a memory verse, and it is, "The God who made the world and everything in it is the Lord of heaven and earth and does not live in temples built by human hands." And you'll find that in Acts chapter 17, verse 24. Now, I'm really excited for this week's lesson because it's the study of a very interesting, a fascinating chapter in the book of Acts, a fascinating chapter in the life of the Apostle Paul. This is where we see him ministering to people who were completely unchurched. These were people who had no idea about the God of heaven, the God of the Bible, people who didn't know about Jesus, did not know about biblical doctrine. They were absolutely outside the scope of the Judeo-Christian teachings. And here we see Paul, the apostle to the Gentiles, putting into practice something that we need so much, friends, something that we need to learn so much, because we deal with this reality on a day-to-day basis. I don't know about you, but surrounding me daily, there are people that are absolutely unchurched, people who don't know about Jesus, who don't know about the Bible. And it might be even a little bit more difficult because since we live in, at least for me, I live in the Western world, a lot of these people think that they know about the Bible. They think that they've heard about the Bible, heard about church, heard about religion, but for the most part, they haven't really truly heard about Scripture, about who the God of the Bible is. And so I feel that being able to learn from this chapter, being able to learn from the Apostle Paul, putting this into practice, will help us be able to do the same as well. Acts chapter 17 has to do with the Apostle Paul preaching to the Athenian philosophers, the Stoic and the Epicurean philosophers. We're going to talk a little bit more about them tomorrow, so I don't want to really foreshadow what I'm going to be saying then, but these philosophers were as far as you could get from the Bible, from biblical truth. And yet the apostle speaks to them. He finds specific strategies in order to relate to them, to find common ground. And that's what we need, to find common ground with people. If you remember, we were talking about this last week when I mentioned that we need to be able to listen. We need to be able to know where people are at in order to reach them. And that's why understanding them, talking to them, mingling with them is so important. Otherwise, how are we going to be able to reach them? How will we be able to connect? So the Apostle Paul here in Acts 17 is a study case. He is an object lesson of what we should do, of is there anything that we shouldn't do? We're going to be studying that with this week's lesson and the study of this chapter. So I would encourage you today, while we don't really have the beginning, the opening of the lesson yet, that'll be tomorrow, go and read Acts chapter 17. Think about what you're reading. Think about the message there. Think about the strategies that the apostle employed in communicating with these people. Think about how they pushed back. Also, consider the different people that were reached. Some of them believed, some of them did not believe, some of them wanted to hear more. So consider all these things and have these things in mind as we go through this week's lesson. So study your lesson. This week's is foundational. If you want to be used by God, if you want to be a good missionary in reaching unchurched people, then this week's lesson is vital. It'll teach us so much. So study the lesson. Look up the Bible verses. Read the texts. Think about them. Read and reread, and I'm sure that will be a blessing to you. Also, comment down below with any questions or any comments. I'd love to interact with you. And please remember to like, to share, and to subscribe to our videos. We release one every day, and I hope to see you again here tomorrow for another Sabbath School Daily.